I didn't see none of the ancestors of those who condemn me standing up when we were suffering, saying to white America, this is evil, this is unjust, and this will bring about a recompense from God. You didn't talk then.
Go ahead.
You had nothing to say. But now that I come, what is wrong with my presence? That you're afraid that I'm going to say something that will wake up black people that you have deceived.
There you go. Come on.
You're afraid
That's what it's about.
that I might say something to expose the wickedness and injustice of a system
That's right.
that gives you the right to vote, then
That takes
with
it.
skill and
Yeah.
artifice and chicanery, take it away from you.
That's right. There you go. There you go. Give it and take it away.
Martin Luther King said, they give you a law, and then they refuse to enforce it. So anytime you have a law and there is no enforcement of that law, you don't have a law. So I just want to say this to the detractors.
Say it. Say it.
Sister was singing, we're not going back. And we're not going to let anybody turn us around. But slogans won't get it.
Go ahead.
Songs won't get it. It's what are we willing to do to make sure that our life, blood, and our sacrifice is not turned back. And that those who sacrifice that we had the right to vote will not be disappointed in us because we sang, we shouted, but we refused to work together to change the realities. So in conclusion, Jesus asked his disciples, he was telling them who could be a disciple. I'm sure you remember. He said, if any man,
Go ahead.
I like that.
Any man.
You can't tell Farrakhan that I'm not a disciple. I might not be in your church or in your pew,
Go ahead.
but if you are not suffering
Go ahead.
for his name's sake, then you better check out whose pew you in. If you're not going to church for to jail for his name's sake,
Go ahead. Come on.
you better check out who got you. Because the road to Christ is not an easy road.
That's right.
If it were an easy road, everybody would be on it.
That's right.
So Jesus said, if any man, and that includes Farrakhan.
Right.
Oh, thank you, brother. If any man would be my disciple, first thing he has to do is deny himself.
All right.
How many of you are willing to deny yourself for the sake of a movement bigger than yourself?
Go ahead.
See, if you're not willing to deny yourself, then you're not a disciple.
Right.
So what do you mean, deny yourself? See, Peter was a fisherman. When Jesus met him, he was fishing.
That's right.
But Jesus laid something on him. He said, now, Peter, if you come and follow me, you can put down your net. I'm going to make you a fisher of men. See? He had to sacrifice what he was doing for his living in order to become a soldier in the movement of Christ.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
He said, but that's not enough that you got to deny yourself, Peter. You got to pick up your cross.
And
See, it's easy to sing about Jesus on the cross. Oh, were you there when they crucified my Lord? See, Negroes are always somewhere around when somebody is being crucified. But the question is, what did you do about it? What did you say about it? Must Jesus bear the cross alone and all the world go free? No, brother. There's a cross for you.
and a cross.
And there's a cross for me.
Yeah, go ahead.
Dr. Martin Luther King denied himself. Those civil rights brothers and sisters that walked across that bridge, they denied themselves. They picked up a cross.
That's right. Go ahead, brother.
And for that, some of them lost their lives that we could go to a poll. Some of them were beaten, houses burned, firebombed. See, those are the real haters, Mr. Friedman, that you should be talking about.
Yeah.
Your brothers
Go ahead.
who worked us on the plantation from can't see morning to can't see night. That's why you're rich and powerful, because you worked us. So don't talk to me about hate.
Go ahead.
Go look in the mirror, because you hate the fact that my people are growing to love me in spite of your wanting them to hate me.
Yeah. That's what it's all about.
We're not going to let voting rights die,
That's right.
but I want you to be prepared for something.
Yeah. Bring it on.
Every time
Every time.
we got an amendment,
Yeah.
it had to be followed by a civil rights action,
Yeah.
because they
Right.
passed an amendment,
Way back.
but their brethren didn't like it. See?
That's right.
So somebody doesn't like the fact that there is Section 5
Say it.
of the Voting Rights Bill
Say it.
that gives government
Right.
enforcement powers,
There you go.
and the state or whoever wants to deprive you
That's right.
by gerrymandering,
Yes.
by
There
redistricting,
you go.
by doing all the little tricks that the wicked one does
Yeah.
to deprive us of a right that is really ours. Now, I want to say this as the owner of the country.
Say it.
Go ahead.
Because we own it. We built it.
Wait, I ain't just talking.
Well, yeah, we the ones.
You got a hell of a nerve telling me where I can come. This is our Alabama. We paid the price. Our blood soaks the soil of Alabama. We are drowned in the rivers and the lakes and hung on the trees. So don't you tell us you own this.
Go ahead.
No. This is our land. Go ahead. Oh, yeah, he's on it now.
Jesus said, God will take the kingdom from you and he will give it to another. And he didn't just say another, he said another nation that will bring in the fruits thereof.
Go ahead.
Preaching, boy. Yes, sir.
So this is our time.
This is our time. And
This is our day.
This is our country. Our
But we
state.
cannot allow our former slave masters and their children
Yeah.
to dictate how we respond
Come on.
to
There you
one
go.
another.
There you go. That's the point. That's the point.
Dr. Sanders,
Yes.
I read your letter to Mr. Friedman, and I want to thank you personally for standing up.
Yes.
Because they really have a hell of a nerve.
Yeah.
You know, But when you stand up, they'll sit down. When we stand up, they'll step aside. Because there is no power in the heavens above or in the earth below that can stop us from achieving what God demands for us if we get our own foot out of our own way. So I close with these words from Jesus.
Amen.
He said, Farrakhan, I thought you was a Muslim.
Come on, soldier.
Fix it. Fix it.
You don't know me.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
That's right. That's right.
Go ahead.
That's right.
You can't push me into some corner and say he's a Muslim, I'm a Christian. Stop it.
That's right.
When did you become Christians? And what made you one? Come on.
Come on.
Jesus never said he was one.
Go ahead.
What?
Go ahead.
I have to ask the pastors to bear me witness.
Come on, they will.
Go and look all throughout the gospel. You are Baptist. Jesus never said he was one. He said he was baptized.
Go ahead.
Some of you are Methodists. Jesus never said I'm a Methodist. He said I am the way, the truth, and the life. Jesus never said he was a Jehovah's Witness, but he most certainly was a witness of Jehovah. See, you split up the religion yourself, and you've become sects and parties. All of you arguing with one another over what none of you really properly understand. That's why God had to give us a man
Go ahead. Come on now. Go ahead.
to help us.
Yes, sir.
Go ahead.
So, soldiers,
Yes, sir.
onward.
Yes, sir.
Onward, Christian
Go
soldiers.
ahead.
Because that's a great name.
Yes, sir.
To be a Christian means to be crystallized into oneness with God, following the example of Jesus Christ.
Yes.
Wearing a cross don't make you a Christian.
Come on. Tell us.
Saying you are doesn't make you that. Because Jesus said, as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. And so, let's be real Christians by being Christ-like in our behavior. When he left, he said, this one commandment I leave with you, that love ye one another even as I have loved you. He gave the present perfect tense, which says that an action started and that action was completed at the cross.
Go ahead.
Come on.
Love ye one another,
Come on, Father.
even as I have loved you. I tolerated your foolishness because I loved you. See? I tolerated your ignorance because I loved you. Jesus had some crazy disciples, you know, arguing who gonna sit in the top seat, who gonna do this. No, but he loved us right on. And even though Judas betrayed him, it was in that act of betrayal that he was glorified, and his Father was glorified as well. So I think I've preached enough. It's time to get on to Montgomery. That's the last stop on the journey.
Yeah.
And I want you to know I've enjoyed every minute being here with Sister Rose, Mayor Johnny Ford, Senator Sanders,
And Senator Steele.
Senator Steele,
Yeah, there he is.
and the mayor of this city and the mayor of Birmingham.
Yeah.
And maybe I'll meet the mayor of Montgomery.
Yes, he'll be there. Yeah.
But it's the soldiers
It's the foot soldier.
that's going to make it happen. May God bless you. May God keep you. May God with his love surround us with his protection as we move forward But if that Supreme Court knocks down the enforcement clause,
All right. That's right.
what are we going to do?
Oh, we gonna stand up.
See,
That's what we gonna do.
see, now that's the second part of this model.
That's right. Now,
If they mess up,
there you go.
we're not gonna lay down.
There you go. We gonna stand up.
See, we're gonna stand up.
There you go.
May God bless you.
All right.
Thank you for listening. Assalamu alaikum.
All right.
Peace be unto you.
All right. Get it, Frank. Go ahead, man.
Thank you, leader.
We love you,
I love
Mr.
you.
Farrakhan.
Doc.
We love
Thank
you,
you,
brother.
Doc.
Love you.
The minister might go, but
So I want to introduce, present, not introduce. We all know him. But I want to present a man, as the old folks used to say, a man who shades the ground he walks on. That means he's not scared of anybody. He's not scared of anything. He's willing to stand up to anybody, anything, and stand up in any place. He shades the ground he walks on. I want to present a man who is willing to stand with us when others say no. He's willing to stand with us. I want to present a man who has a powerful voice. A voice that's so powerful that whenever he called, 1 million came to Washington, D.C. That's a powerful voice. I want to present a man who understands religion but understands unity within the context of religion. I want to present a man who has come to stand with us and help us to protect the voting rights. There were those who said that he should not come to Alabama. They wrote me a letter that said that he should not come. But I wrote back, and I said he is coming. He has a right to be here. He's coming to fight for a constitutional right. Y'all are fighting him because he's using his constitutional right for freedom of speech. But in any event, let me just stop and bring the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, the leader of the Nation of Islam, and a great leader within and outside of Islam.
Thank you, Senator Sanders. In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful, I thank Allah for all of His prophets and the scriptures that they brought. We thank Allah for Moses and the Israelite prophets who gave us the Old Testament. We thank Allah for Jesus, who gave us the gospel and his disciples who gave us the New Testament. We thank Allah for Muhammad, through whom the Holy Quran was revealed. I am a student of the most honorable Elijah Muhammad, and I could never thank Allah enough for his merciful intervention in our affairs. The great Mahdi, or the guide who came among us, he was prophesied to come out of the east unto the west to seek and to save that which was lost. And if you can search history and search the scriptures, you can find no people more fitting and apt to fulfill the description of the lost sheep than the black man and woman of America and the Western Hemisphere. I'm honored to be here, happy to be here, privileged to be here, and I'm eternally grateful to Mayor Johnny Ford and Sister Faya Rose Touré Sanders, who called me and asked me if I would come. I'm honored to be here to meet with the mayor of Birmingham, the mayor of Selma, and I'm not able to meet the mayor of Montgomery. He's out of town, or the governor of this great state and his attorney general, but we have a message that we would like for them to hear.
All right, come on.
Now, this message today, I'm not going to be long, but we're in the sun, and that sun is a great gift from God. And the fire of that sun is in every human being and in every living thing, for nothing lives without water and without sunlight. So the black man and woman of America needs the water of life, the sunlight of truth. For we are a people that have walked in darkness, but today we are seeing a great light. Now, as we talk today, I want to lift up the name of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. I was not a follower of Dr. King. As a student of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, Malcolm X was my first teacher in Islam, and I was mentored by Brother Malcolm. One of the things that some who spoke of me said, he's fearless, he's courageous, etc. I'm no more than you. That whatever I am, you have the power to be. I am what I am because I'm in love with you. And it is perfect love that casteth out fear. When you love God with all your heart, your soul, your mind, and your strength, and you love your brother or sister as you love yourself, then you are willing to stand for them. You are willing to sacrifice on their behalf. And as the scriptures teach, greater love has no man, that he would lay down his life for his friend. So I'm not one of those kinds of shepherds that when the wolf comes, we run away. For that kind of shepherd, the scripture says, is a hireling. People that are in this for money, but not to change the reality of our condition in America or wherever we are found on the earth. Jesus had to tell his disciples, don't worry about your bread. Don't worry about your coat or your cloak. Don't worry about the fact that you may not have. But if you go out and work for the people and serve the people. Your coat is out there, your pants are out there, your car is out there, your house is out there. But first, you got to feed the sheep so that the sheep can grow wool. But if you're not feeding the sheep and leading them into green pasture, what right do you have to share the sheep? So if we want to be protected and supported by the people, we must be the people's servant. Jesus said again, I came not into the world to be ministered unto. I came into the world to minister, to serve. So he that is greatest among you, the master said, let him be your servant. Brother asked me to say it one more time. He that would be great among you. Don't say you're great. Say your service is great. Because it is only in serving others that greatness of God is conferred upon us, because he is greatness. And all greatness comes from him. But the more we humble ourselves to God, the more he can uplift us. So I want to read something from Dr. King that he spoke in 1957. He was talking on August the 15th on the serious condition of riots that were going on in the inner cities. But he said these words. Some of the detractors feel that I'm unworthy to be with you in a civil rights movement. Some of my detractors feel that I'm a hater and anti-Semitic and homophobic, and I have no right to be with you, nor do you have any right to invite me. Look how arrogant that sounds from somebody that lives in Alabama. It's not only paternalistic, it's the height of arrogance. See, I got to say this to Mr. Friedman, and I want the media to take the message to him, please. You know, listen. The Quran, which is the book of scriptures of the Muslims, is telling us that he who commits a sin and then puts that sin on someone who is innocent, that is a great calumny, and such person will be punished by God. Then there's a chapter in the Quran that says, woe to the slanderer who amasses wealth and counts it. Then there's another chapter that says in the 80th surah, since we had to come down the Route 80 to get here, the 80th chapter is called Al-Abasa, and it means he frowned. And it's talking about the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. He was taking time with a well-placed person, and a blind man heard his voice and was tapping his way up to the Prophet. And he disturbed the Prophet's conversation, and the Prophet frowned on him. And as he frowned on the man that came to hear him, God frowned on the Prophet. We must not become so class conscious that we only want to talk to the rich and the powerful and those with influence. If we cannot sit down with the least of these, then we're not a true follower of Christ or Muhammad, peace be upon them, because they came to serve the least and bring the least to make them the most. So here's what Dr. King said. He said, throughout our history, laws affirming Negro rights have consistently been circumvented by ingenious evasions which render them void in practice. Laws that affect the whole population, draft laws, income tax laws, traffic laws, manage to work even though they may be unpopular, but laws passed for the Negro's benefit are so widely unenforced that it is a mockery to call them laws. So said Dr. Martin Luther King in 67, 1 year before he was assassinated. I want to say on behalf of our brother, Dr. King, it is mockery to reduce the greatness of that man to a speech, I have a dream. That man was not murdered because of his dream. He was murdered because he kept evolving. And he saw the war in Vietnam, where billions of dollars were being spent, that money could be used to lift the poor in America. So he could not encourage us to go 9,000 miles to fight poor peasants in Vietnam and not fight for justice for the poor Americans, whether they're black, brown, Hispanic, or white. He wanted to see poverty erased in the land of plenty. Neither is it proper to take Brother Malcolm and reduce him to a slogan, by any means necessary. Well, I mean, what does that mean? See, there is a means to attain all our goals, but by any means could mean anything. And that is not guidance to a people who are spiritually blind, deaf, and dumb. Now, I want to go now to President Abraham Lincoln. Now, you know, we celebrate him because under him we got, quote unquote, so-called emancipation. Emancipation is not freedom. There are two different words, and if you look them up, the main part of emancipation is from the Latin word or infinitive mancipere. It means to free from your hand, but not necessarily from your control. You didn't hear me. See, emancipating us from a slave plantation, but not allowing us the freedom to build something good for ourselves. We want to talk about betrayal of the 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendments. On September the 22nd, 1862, President Abraham Lincoln issued the Emancipation Proclamation, but it was not to take effect until January 1st, 1863. But in the meantime, the president offered pecuniary aid. If you don't know what that means, he offered money to the so-called slave states if they would not be in rebellion against the United States. President Lincoln also offered the slave states the right to continue to colonize persons of African descent. Did you hear me? Colonize. That means keep you in subjection to their will, to their power, and to what interests they have that may not be in our best interest. President Lincoln also offered the slave states to take those slaves that were in rebellion, and if they lost a slave through the emancipation process, they would be compensated for the loss of their slave. This is honest aid. Now, Abraham Lincoln did not love you. Don't make a mistake. You were a part of a problem as you are today. The war was being fought because the South. Who was that guy that has his White House over here somewhere?
Jeff Davis.
Oh, Jeff. Yes, Jefferson Davis was the leader of the South. He was the president of the Confederacy. The Confederacy did not wish for slavery to be abolished. They made their money from slavery. They became rich and powerful because of slavery. And Mr. Friedman, your people were involved not only in the transatlantic slave trade, but we have your history in Alabama. So I don't want to get into that. That's why I'm calling you out for a showdown. You see? Because you can't sustain a lie when the truth is present. So you profited from our pain. We're not denying that there were white people who wanted to see us free. There were white people who would march with us. There were white people who would struggle with us. We cannot deny that. But they were the few. Did you hear me? So you can't say you fell in love because a few were willing to die. Not that they were willing, they just happened to die. Because they were in the wrong place at the wrong time